Square, let's go. I heard that we here in the Howard Square, let's go. I heard that we here in the Times Square, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Hello and welcome to the MKH Podcast. I'm your host, Maximilian K. Hill, and today we are really excited to bring you a wonderful guest. Keta Bagashvili, aka Keta Bag, is on a mission to help women make more money online. She's a creative entrepreneur based out of Georgia, the country, not the state. She founded her first agency at the age of 20. She launched her first tech product at the age of 22, and she was selected to the Forbes 30 Under 30 list by the age of 23. She is a community manager of over 150 women online, and she created an application that changed the health and beauty industry in Georgia forever. Keta, thank you for coming on the podcast. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for an amazing intro. How are you?
I'm living the dream, living the dream. So we met at an info bip in Soho, Manhattan, that was organized by our friend Marion. And I was super impressed with you. And I said, we've got to get Keta to come on the MKH podcast.
I was impressed by you. You are such an amazing host. I was like, the next time I'm doing an event, this is the guy that I'm gonna reach out to.
Yeah, it was such a wonderful night. Those events are great because we get to meet so many people from all over the world. They all come here to New York for the chance to, further their careers and meet interesting people. And I mean, that night was really cool because we had our friend Kurum. Hurum was on the panel with you, and many people in the audience. I think we met someone from Singapore, someone from Pakistan, but was really impressed with your talk. And would like for you, one of the topics you spoke about was what it was like for a European entrepreneur to come to New York and the adjustment it was like. So tell me, what has that been like for you?
Interesting. Yeah, I think the topic was specifically about how the American-based startups can expand to Europe. And it was funny because I was coming from the opposite experience and kind of realizing that what I was looking for my entire career while I was like still back based in Georgia was like how can I reach the American audience, and then realizing that American companies are also looking for expanding to Euro. So it was like, okay, we're kind of like looking at the same things. If we could like collab in some ways, things could have gone like in better ways. But yeah, my experience coming to the US, I didn't come here as an entrepreneur. I should say I came here to kind of like dive deep into my studies, and I applied for a school and I came here as a student. So my experience was interesting because moving across the seas and coming from Eastern Europe to United States comes with a lot of cultural shock. So before you realize what is the work like professional scene and how is this like climbing in your career look like in the States, you have to face a lot of cultural shocks. So I guess like the first layer of me adjusting was just adjusting with the things that I was just not used to. But like entrepreneurs, I think are one of the most easily and quickly adaptable people in the world. And I should not say that was the biggest challenge in my life. So I think it went well.
Yeah, I thought I was very impressed. I think everyone in the audience thought you gave a good talk. And I think on your profile it says you're also a TEDx speaker.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me about that experience.
Yeah, that is one of the coolest experiences that I had in my like speaking engagement and experiences. I was how old was I? I think I was like 24 when I did that. And my TED Talk was not about anything professional. It was more about the journey of finding yourself and your voice. Which is, I think, still so important when even if you like connect this to your career, like side of the life as well. My TED Talk was about how you can discover your true calling and discover your true self and your true desires by spending time with yourself, and how important it is to for for us to just go in the wild and spend time with ourselves one on one to really deeply hear the voices that we sometimes don't listen to in ourselves. So that was my TED talk.
Yeah, public speaking is such a fear for so many people. So, were you afraid when you gave your TED talk? And if you were, how did you manage it? And what tips would you give to anybody who's looking to become a better public speaker?
Yeah, thank you for this question. I obviously was scared. I don't think there's anyone who's not scared of things. Fear is always there. And I actually had this very interesting conversation with my therapist a few years ago about fear because she was like asking me, like, you do a lot of stuff in life that scares a lot of people, and how do you manage to face the fears? And I answered that fear is always going to be there. What you can do differently is that you face the fear, you acknowledge the fear is there, and then you still do whatever you're thinking of doing. So I guess the only answer I can give and only advice I can give in this case is that everyone is scared, but what makes you different is how you're going to overcome it and how you're still going to do whatever you decided to do. If you see you see all these people who are like amazing public speakers, they are also scared. No one is fine going in front of like hundreds of thousands of people and speaking as if like it's not a big deal. It is a big deal, but you can still do it. And the people who succeed are the people who push themselves to do it. So
Yeah, that was one of the reasons I started podcasting was to regularly put myself out there. And, it's our platform as opposed to waiting for an event host to pick me, right? So, and I my following is not as big as yours, but it's still, 2,000 people is still
it's a
2,000
lot.
people, right? It's weird because we get in this comparison game, right? And then you forget 2,000 people.
Imagine them in the street.
That's a lot of event spaces,
Hmm?
to fill it up. But I'm a huge fan of your Instagram stories. You have a wonderful Instagram page, and now you're on TikTok. I think you said that you are trolling 170,000 people on TikTok. So tell me about how you built your robust online following and what
Yeah,
are some of the benefits that have come from that.
a very interesting question. I have so many answers to that. I've been doing content for 15 years now. So I've been everywhere. I've tried everything. I've tried so many different platforms. I've tried so many different industries. I've tried to speak about so many different things that has been bothering me or I've been passionate about over the span of like this 15 years, right? And the story back then was that when I was like 13, I was a huge fan of this boy band called One Direction, as every single teenage girl back then. And I was madly in love with Harry Styles, and I started writing fan fictions about him. But then soon after I started writing this fan fictions, I realized that I was not writing it for myself. I needed an audience because I had this desire to talk to people. So when I was 13, once again, I created this Facebook account, which was called Keta Stories. Back then, Facebook still, there was not like social media influencer marketing, like all these terms were still not like as common as it is right now. And there clearly was not a profession or any course or any degree that would like teach you how to interact with your audience on social media. And I guess I was just following my instincts. That's why I always say that social media is a huge part of my life and it's a huge part of who I am, because I just started doing that without realizing what I was doing. And I realized that if I had to interact with my audience and make them engage, I could not only provide just different chapters of the fan fiction every single day, but I also had to put some different things, like I was creating memes and I was doing some video edits and I was posting a lot of like jokes and questions and interacting with people and talking to them on like in the chats and just creating a community. And then I also back then Facebook or Instagram, and obviously TikTok was not even out there back then. These platforms didn't have like live streams. And I was like, I had this need to interact with my audience in live version. And I was using Twitter's, that was this thing, TweetCam. And I was sharing the link of the TweetCam on my Facebook page so that people would come join me. And I still have the screenshots of me being like 13, 14 years old, talking to like hundreds of little girls about, oh, what do you think about Harry Styles' new girlfriend? Oh, Taylor Swift? What do you mean? Like, she's not like, you know? And but that built a relationship between me and these people. And that was the beginning. And then obviously over the years, I then started doing WordPress because I loved writing, and I was sharing my short stories and little poems and stuff like that. Around when I was like 19, I started building my biggest beauty community that I still work on, which is still called Beauty Lab, and it was also concentrated in a Facebook group until this day. To like, I think it's around like 10% of Georgian female population, which is a big number, obviously.
Yeah.
And that was like my second attempt of like working on the social media, and I built this women community, and that's when I started doing content specifically in the beauty industry, and I was kind of like a beauty influencer in that sense. Then later, when I was around like 20, I was very into solo traveling, and I was traveling a lot around the world. And then I started sharing my solo travels on my Instagram and sharing it with other young girls, how they could, take over the world and go and do whatever you want because you can do it. And there's so much to see out there and things like that. And honestly, like my TED Talk is also like part of this, my solo travels and the discoveries that I had during that time. And then during COVID, obviously, I started my TikTok just for fun. And I grew it to 170K. And when I say that I'm trolling, I just means that like most of my content, like you've seen my Instagram stories as well, right? Like there's
Yes.
LinkedIn when you can talk more seriously about the topics, and then there's my Instagram stories or my TikTok where I'm just making fun of stuff, because one of the ways for me to deliver the messages is in the humorous, like in the humor way. Is that a right way to say
Humorous.
it?
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's like part of my brand as well, that I talk about very serious stuff in the funny way, and I think I have a lot of like self-humor in myself as well, and I love making fun of myself in the first place, and that's how it became just like me trolling people, but I'm not trolling anyone. It
Yeah.
just making fun of things.
My favorite people are the ones who don't take themselves too seriously.
Yeah, life
And
is
I have
just
learned that
boring.
having a sense of humor is one of the best life hacks that you can have, because I think everyone struggles one way or another. No one gets through it without a little bit of struggle. But you mentioned solo travel. I myself am an avid solo traveler. Um, been all over Europe, South America,
Wow.
and was actually in Dubai not too long ago.
Nice,
That was a
nice.
really cool experience. Tell me about your solo travels, and what was your most memorable experience from your solo travels?
I have so many stories. I started solo traveling when I was 19. I didn't realize what I was doing, but I just had this urge to face the fears. Because once again, like my TED talk is actually about that as well, that I was very scared of being alone. Because when you're an extreme extrovert, which I am clearly, you're used to being surrounded by people and different voices around you and different opinions about around you, but just a company. You always have a company. Extroverts always have a company. And I was so scared of being alone without those voices and those opinions and that company, that I would not even be able to go and get a coffee in the coffee shop. And it's funny because always saw myself as a brave, fearless girl, but I was not able to go and get a coffee in the coffee shop once again. And then I slowly started like going to places alone. And then at some point I managed to travel in a different city, different country on my own. And my TED talk ends with this phrase that I learned a lot about myself throughout my solo journeys. And one thing that I also learned is that the reason why I don't go to the coffee shop alone is because I just don't like the coffee. And that's also the discovery. Like you realize, you learn so many things about yourself. Like you learn why you do or you do not do specific stuff. Is it because you are scared of doing that, or is it because you just don't like it? But you're never gonna know if you like it or not if you're not gonna try. If I didn't sip this coffee alone in a coffee shop and I didn't make this kind of face because it was disgusting for me, sorry for the coffee lovers, but I'll never know that I was not doing that just because I just don't like coffee. And my solo travels, obviously, like it was a journey around the world, and most importantly within myself. And I have discovered, and there's so much more to discover, obviously, but throughout this, like my late teenage years or like early 20s, I have found my voice, and I found my confidence, and I found courage in things that I didn't know I had courage. And I think one of the most memorable experiences that I've had, and all of my stories were like beautiful because along the way you just meet so many people. And also another thing about solo traveling is that you're never actually alone. You just meet so many different people along the way. And
100%.
yeah,
100%.
that's the beauty of it, because like life throws like people in your face that you otherwise you would never meet, and the stories, and it just inspires you and just become all these people that you meet along the way. And one of the most memorable experiences was 100% in 2022 when I went to Sri Lanka. And I spent like a month there, and it's a huge story. I wouldn't have like enough time to tell you this whole story, but it was basically me going there with a backpack, and I ended up being on the front page of the Sri Lankan national magazine. And it's a different story that I can tell you later. But things like crazy things happen, things that you would never ever imagine happening. So yeah.
Yeah, I know when I started travel, it was huge. It changed my whole perspective on everything. I mean, I spent some time in Havana, Cuba, which is really, lots of poverty there. I mean, the
Yeah.
infrastructure is crumbling, but somehow the people there were all still like super delightful to connect with.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think growing up, I grew up here in New York. We didn't have money by New York standards, right? But everywhere else around the world, we would have been a very wealthy family. But you don't really understand that until you get out into the world. And that was what my time traveling places like Cuba really taught me. Just uh, how lucky all of us that are here in New York are to get to have live and work here. I mean, it's not perfect; it's expensive as hell, but overall, I mean, it's still a pretty awesome deal. So, if there are any listeners, because I'm thinking I'm a huge fan of travel. I think Georgia's on my list. Um, where should I go in
Oh,
Georgia?
you should go everywhere, but I always tell my friends that the most beautiful things to see in Georgia. I mean, first of all, Georgia is amazing in so many sense because we have the mountain regions and the sea regions, and like you kind of like go in one this like little small country with the population of 3.5 million, and you get to see everything together. So it's like an amazing mix of modern and like traditional cultures, and then a little bit of like Middle East cultures or like European cultures, all just like tied together. And it's a place where you can go and you can see the ancient like really old traditions, mixed with this modern, really cool, like even nightlife, Georgia is a cradle of wine, so you obviously have to go and see the wine years in Georgia, because that is an experience. Like only to like interact with people that are like taking care of this wine years is like enough for you to like be inspired for the rest of your life. And the mountain regions are, I don't think I've seen anything more beautiful than that. I'm obviously biased, but it is, genuinely speaking, it's one of the most beautiful things you can see there. And all these mountain regions are, it's crazy because it's such a small country, but it's like you go there and even the shapes of the mountains or the leaves on the trees are different in every single mountain region.
Mm.
And the roads to get to these mountain regions are scary, but so beautiful. So I would say go see the vineyards, spend some time in Tbilisi, because that's the where you're gonna feel the modern European part of the country, and then go see the mountain regions
Very cool.
and drink a lot of wine.
It's on my list. I'll have to.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Airbnb person. Uh,
Okay.
I mean, if you really think about it, with Airbnb and budget airlines, there's really no reason for anyone to not travel anymore because you don't have to be a millionaire to do it. It's definitely experience. I hope as many people will get to experience because it was a wonderful eye opener for me once I started hitting the road. Uh, Keta Bag, thank you so much for coming on the MKH podcast. If anyone in my audience wants to follow you, where can they find you? What social accounts?
I guess LinkedIn and Instagram would be the best.
Okay. And TikTok? Maybe
TikTok is
get
very
that number to
limited.
over
Okay.
200,000.
My TikTok is very like Georgian. Like I talk a different language there, so I think it's gonna be hard for people to understand.
Got it.
But they can find some funny videos there as well.
I gotta say, once I started traveling, my confidence in foreign language went significantly increased. I mean, I'm not fluent in too many languages, but I'm getting much stronger in Spanish because I've spent the past couple of years in the Bronx, and there's a huge, big Spanish population there. And
Nice.
even here on Long Island, where that's my home, where my home is, there's huge Spanish population. Everybody at the gym and pool that I'm a member of, a lot of Spanish people, and it's such a wonderful thing to be able to speak different languages. And here in New York, we have the unique opportunity to get to practice it. You walk down
Mhm.
Broadway and you might hear like 20 different languages, all within the span of like 10 minutes, just walking down the street, if you just listen for it. So, Keta, thank you so much for
You.
joining the MKH podcast. We wish you continued success in your mission of helping women make more money online. So, have a
Thank you.
wonderful day, and we hope to have you back on the podcast very soon.
Thank you so much. It was an incredible, very interesting conversation. And thank you so much. And good luck to your podcast.
Thank you, Keta.
Yo, I heard that we hitting that 42nd, let's go. I heard that we hitting that 34th, let's go. I heard that we hitting that 14th, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. What? I heard that we hitting that Union Square, let's go. I heard that we hitting that